All right, I'd like to start the special meeting of the Tiverton Town Council, Monday, August 29th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're gonna get Sergeant Leduc home. I would like to bring, roll call, I'm sorry. I'm in a hurry. Go ahead.
Counselor Janick?
Present.
Counselor Edwards?
Present.
Counselor deMedeiros?
Here.
Counselor Vieira?
Here.
Counselors Perry, Cook are absent, and I believe Mike
Mike will be here.
Counselor Burk will be arriving late.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to bring 4B up front, the Community Policing Sgt. John Leduc. Tiverton Police Department discussion, possible vote on special event permit for 4th Annual Child Safety Day at Grinnell Beach, September 18th, from noon to 4 p.m. to approve funding to advertise for a public hearing on sound variance. Deb? I'd like a motion. You want to make it?
So moved.
I'm sorry, second.
Okay. Motion been made in second. All those in favor? I do have one question, though. We're going to advertise for... How long do we have to advertise for that?
We gotta get it in the paper.
Because it has to be how many weeks?
We're just about there.
I'm going to kill you.
We're cutting it a little close, and I apologize because the past years that we've had the Safety Day event, it's been on private property in
Right.
Freeze
I'm
and
only
in
kidding.
Longplex.
You know
So
I'm with
thankfully, Joan emailed me and said, "Oh, hey, by the way," and I went. So I apologize. That's totally on me. The tardiness in which this request would be submitted if it's on town property hereafter, I will make sure that it's submitted in a timely manner. So again, my apologies. So I know some of you, or many of you, have been to previous safety days in the past. This is our 4th one. Basically, the purpose of Safety Day is to get our town residents, children specifically, comfortable and familiarized with the first responders here in town. The fire department's always been a part of it, along with all the the police department, and actually Little Compton's made appearances as well. So it's the whole point is to educate parents and children regarding various safety issues, whether that be water safety, traffic safety, vehicle safety. So we have various departments that come out, to include the Rhode Island State Police, businesses that we have Ripples this year that they're going to be doing like water safety. We also have a marine safety class that's going to be happening. So basically, it's we try to make it interactive and engaging for the kids in order for them to kind of have something to look forward to go to, but at the same time teach them about various safety aspects. Mike Cordero, one of our awesome residents here in town, he has been our MC of the event every year, and he provides music to make it a little bit more festive. So as far as the sound variance is concerned, there will be amplified music, along with Mike probably talking here and there, and that'll be right at the pavilion on where Grinnell is located. So that would be the reason for the request for the sound variance. Outside of that, I mean, there shouldn't be a crazy amount of volume coming from Grinnell's outside of just people, and
All right.
that's pretty much it.
Any questions?
The only question I have is the front page for the request says noon to 4, and the other 2 pages say 10 to 4:30.
So the event, I'm sorry, the event itself is from noon to 4 p.m., but for our setup and breakdown, I always tell them, to get out about 10 a.m. We do about an hour and a half of setup, and then people start trickling in between 11:30 and 12. Usually, we do raffles for fundraising reasons. So once I announce the raffles at 3 o'clock, typically people disperse pretty quickly. So we'll be out of there by 4:30. I would say.
So Joan, if you advertise, do you have to advertise 14 business days?
We have to get it in this week's paper.
Because we do have Labor Day in the middle of this, so, okay. So, town council meeting is the 9th.
No, it's the 12th.
You're right, okay. All right, so that'll be plenty of time for you? Okay. I just want to know if I had to have a special meeting.
Have we, or can we waive the fee?
We don't charge a fee, do we, to the police?
Usually just wait.
Yeah. All right, can I entertain a motion to approve the event, to advertise for a public hearing, and it'll be on September 12th, and to waive the fee?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion in a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, we'll go to the front again. Council President deMedeiros, discussion and possible vote regarding capital budget request for possible funding for annual casino gaming revenue for prior fiscal year. And I think I kind of told you all what my plan was. There'll be no votes this evening. What I want is to have everyone present it. And then we can go home and digest this. And hopefully what I was hoping we could do is each of us give about a list of 5 of your top priorities you want to spend. And then we'll go from there at the next meeting. So every department, including the school, will present, and maybe we'll do it on the next September meeting, or I may have to call for a special workshop. We'll see how the agendas look. All right, Chris, do you want to begin?
So I'll just give you a brief synopsis as to where we were with last year's monies that were rolled out at the very first page. So council actually authorized $3.1 million. We actually only had $2.99 million. So what we did was, because the police cars were paid for out of the municipal capital account, we took that out of your request. So for last year, so it did balance. But we
I
did
thought
not.
we were always supposed to get 3 million.
We authorized 3.1. We didn't realize 100,000 because it wasn't the same general law.
Oh, okay.
Went in, because the sports game and sports betting went directly in the general fund. So we were a little bit short, but we just withdrew it from using the police cars because we used municipal
money.
capital, which was also authorized.
Yep,
So, page 2 kind of gives you a breakdown as to, where we are for this year. So we actually wound up with a little bit of a surplus from FY '21, which is sitting $40,000. And we have 3.35 million available this year because 200,000 will go into the general fund for the sports betting. Again, it's a separate, general law.
Yep.
So the net is $3.35 million is available today to expend.
3,035,000. So not 3.3.
No, it's $3,035,000.
yeah, I'm glad you said that. Good. All right.
So the next spreadsheet kind of gives you a pictorial of what was authorized and how it's been expended. There are some things that are still, the recycling center obviously is not, we haven't expended that money yet. But, I can get into each of these, why they are where they're at the moment, but it's,
Yeah,
they are in the process of being acquired. What we haven't gotten also is a breakdown on the expenditure side for the schools, and I can get into that at a different time. But then I'm sure that they've had plenty of expenditures related to bathrooms, because I know that they've been doing them, so.
and the dishwasher and all.
Right, all that was done, so all we need is a reconciliation so the treasurer can actually get those cut over to municipal capital, or to the gaming capital.
Okay.
So the next page kind of gives you a breakdown as to what was authorized, again, what was spent, and there's a little note at the bottom that kind of explains the police cars and what we did, how we funded them. And then we get into this year's request from various departments.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure which, I have them in some sort of order, but we can take them out of order if you want. It doesn't really matter to me. It's,
Well, I think we'll do fire first.
okay.
Do we need Craig up here?
Sure. Corey, you want to come up?
Craig? Hello.
Hi.
All right, so the first thing is the rescue computers?
Yeah, so the rescue computers is what we use on the rescue to do all our patient care and all, and that transpires into billing. So our software, our computers, we're having a real hard time right now. They're just outdated and about 5 years old.
Do we have computers on the rescues now?
Each rescue has a computer and the engine 3 has a computer. So when the rescue's on out, the engine takes the refusal and the EMS report.
So this will go on 2 of the ambulances?
2 ambulances and then on the engine.
Okay. And this communicates right to the billing and
Yes, it's for the billing, software, communication.
the medical report?
The
Does that
medical
come out?
reports in the state. Basically, those computers what drives our revenue, so they're just outdated and old.
Okay.
Do they communicate with the hospitals?
The computers don't know.
No.
Okay.
We have to plug into their printers when we get there.
So will we be operating old ones and new ones at the same time?
No, I'd like to keep some of the old ones, just put them on the shelf, so when we have so right now, when one computer goes down, we have to take one from the engine, put it on the rescue, send it out for repair. So I would like to keep the older 3 for just a backup.
But they would still interact with the new system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's just, it's like having a regular computer at your house, basically. The software gets old, the computer gets old, they need to be updated. So, yeah, we've had those for quite some time now.
They'll migrate and test them before they cut them over, just to make sure that they run properly.
Right.
Now, this Island Tech Services, is this the only place?
So that has, that's who we've used in the past.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more out there.
Yeah, we probably have to go through
Right,
that, but it gives you an idea of,
All these quotes were basically just like a one-off. I didn't go out and get three or
Yeah.
four quotes, just to give us an idea where we need to be.
okay.
This is the company that my captain, Josh Vieira, has used in the past for our computer systems, for the rescues.
All right. Next is Vision 21.
So the Vision 21 machine is basically what takes in all our radio boxes from out in public. So anybody that has your red box that are back there tied into the fire alarm system, the Vision 21 machine, we have 2 of them that sit at the police station. You're supposed to have a duplicate in case one fails, the alarm will still come in. I believe right now it's over 20 years old. Again, technology is changing. And at some point, those boxes are not gonna be able, they're at their life, end life.
So there's one qualified list, you can actually deduct 35,000 from this, and the reason why we didn't buy this system from the last gaming allocation is because it does take dual units. They have to have a difference, when you buy, so that's why we can only afford to buy one.
So we already have one.
We have 35,000 already allocated to this, so really that number will be dropped down by 35 grand.
All right,
So
we are,
if you look at your gaming on page 2 of the spreadsheet, there's 35,000 for radio call boxes.
all right.
All right, so he gave me the whole thing. He didn't realize that we had money set aside for it. But we really can net this out by 35 grand.
Yeah,
because
so
we
it'd be
already have 35 set
42.
aside. So,
It'd be 4206.
Yep.
Yeah, so that the code is all the numbers coming in.
And
from
we
all the-
already have one, which is useless unless we have,
Right, you have to have 2.
get it a buddy.
It's a backup. You have to have a backup to the alarm
Okay.
system. And we don't, I mean, the money's aside, we don't have the new one yet.
No,
No,
we
no,
didn't
but it's
buy-
already
we
there,
never went out
so-
to purchase because when
Right.
we figured out we had to have 2.
Well, what I'm saying is that money is sitting there
Yes,
right.
and we're not using the box unless we buy another
Right,
one.
we have to have another one.
Okay,
So-
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Any questions about Vision 21? Was there any other questions about rescue computers? I'm sorry, I just kept going. All right, next.
So the next one is an air compressor system. Basically is our, this is kind of a big one. We have a system right now, a cascade system right now at Station 3 that we fill all our air packs with, all our bottles. That company is having a hard time servicing our equipment. That equipment, again, is over 20 years old. It's residing. It's a company out of Vermont. We actually, last time we had it serviced a few months ago, we had to go out and search and find another company to service it. It seems like the presiding company, they were a standalone type company and they would build a custom system. So their service and their stuff is kind of going downhill. I don't think they're 100% out of business yet, but it seems like they're heading that way.
So this is to fill the air packs.
This system will fill our air packs, our air bottles, all our Scots for our going into fires. That's probably, if there's a priority, that's probably one of them on our list. Well, if we didn't have a compressor, we'd have to go to maybe Portsmouth every time to fill up or something. So that's definitely a priority. I don't know if there's anything else on that.
Any questions?
So, Station 1 roof, that building was reconstructed in 1981. We have.
Station 1 is,
East Road.
okay.
Yep. Constructed in 1981, so we're looking at 41 years old. It's never had a roof put on it. We do have some minor leaks over the boiler room, thank God. So, I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, that seems like kind of a priority too, Craig.
Well, I need to breathe in. Yes.
Yes.
But how long do roofs last?
Not that
40 years
long.
seems like,
20,
Yeah, not that long. We've got our money's worth.
Okay, so the next one here, air conditioners.
So you want to put,
So
The remaining.
this is kind of, as I was reading the brief today, this is kind of said a little wrong in the little description. So this system, these air conditioners that we're looking at here, would be for the administrative offices. So it would be the chief's office, fire prevention office, and the secretary's office, right? So
oh, so it's not for the other stations.
the other stations have been completed. The other stations are in. They've been in for quite a few years now.
Okay.
Mini splits?
Mini splits, yes. So this system would be hopefully one unit outside with 3 separate heads, for small heads for the offices.
Okay.
We are running window ACs, but it gets very difficult in a small office with an AC running to try to, it might sound silly, but to do your computer work, answer the phones with that stuff blaring. So
Okay.
that's that.
So it's not really a question for you, but one thing I noticed, we have several requests for mini splits and the estimates are all over the place, from what I can see anyway.
Did you notice that?
I did.
Okay.
So my estimates are all over the place?
No.
No.
Other
Other places.
You're just the first one up.
So
Yeah.
a lot of it depends on the size of the BTUs that are being
Yes.
set.
Okay.
No, other people have asked for it and the
yes,
price
yes.
is different.
but if we ordered in bulk, maybe we would get
Put it all together.
some
and
savings
on
that
it.
way.
That is a good idea. That is a good idea.
So we actually use the mini splits in the bunk rooms too. So it actually kind of helps with our oil also, because the ones that we purchase have the heat in them also. So we can control the temperature. Our buildings are so old. We have one thermostat that's in the other room. And so we kind of use that mini split to control the heat in the bunk room at night too. So in the winter months.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the air conditioner? All right, and then the Hearst cutter.
Right, so, again, antiquated equipment, our Hearst tools are very old.
So
most
this
of the-
is the jar of life. so
Jaws of
people
life,
out
right,
there-
so we have, with cutters, to cut through the metals. Our cutters are barely cutting through the metals at this time. Obviously, cars have changed over the years, the way they're built. They're using different types of metals, a lot of titanium and stuff, so, The new system would allow us, one, to free away from compressor, pumps, hydraulic lines, hydraulic fluid. So right now, we pull up on the fire truck, we have a compressor in the back of the truck with a generator. We can only go about 50 feet with our hoses and hydraulic fluid, right? It's limited, it's old technology. The newer technology is all battery operated. So if we do have that car that's deep in the woods, which happens, and if it happens now, we usually call Florida in because they can get into the woods a little bit further. And everything's battery operated. We just did a big demonstration about a month ago. A couple of companies came down. He went down to the junkyard, General Auto, and showed us all the new technology. It's faster, lighter.
It'll save a life. Lives.
It could.
How long does one run?
So it depends on the functions. Every package comes with 2 batteries. You could usually get through an extrication, an hour and a half. Usually get through an extrication with 1 set of batteries.
And are those rechargeable or?
They are rechargeable. In the package also, they talk about the charges being mounted in the trucks. So right now we charge some of our tools. We take them out of the truck, we put them on the bench, we charge them, and we got to make sure we put them back and forth. This system will come with chargers built right into the engines.
And then you said they're lighter, so they'd be easier to work with?
So they are still quite large. And when I say lighter, instead of 70 pounds, they might be 45, 50 pounds. Right.
That's not something you could lift.
Right.
No, but I'm not looking for me to lift it, but
Right.
I'm only teasing.
lighter equipment
Right.
reduces injury.
Right.
Injury,
Yeah.
back injury.
So
Right.
that I do understand.
So
Well,
with the cords, with the hydraulic cords and stuff that we're dragging around, we have a lot of, I've had, God rest his soul, my partner, Joe Pulsica, we've been on extrication, a hydraulic line break, and now under pressure, he was in the hospital for a couple hours with hydraulic fluid in his eyes. And that's just the reality of it. New standard stuff, batteries. We want to be a green fire department. So yes, that's the package on the Hearst tools. And then recently, the last thing is the
Oh, no, you only have that listed. No, go ahead.
we just had some hose testing done. I talked with the administrator, and this was kind of late. I kind of put it on there late. Our 4-inch LDH, which is our feeder line, it's the one that actually connects from the fire hydrants to bring water into the scene. We lost about 12 shots to hose testing. And when I say that, there was either leaks at the couplings or pinholes in the hose. We do have enough right now on the truck. The only truck that's short, our main apparatus has enough. Our reserve piece is short, like a half a bed. So,
So how much
So
would,
the good news is though, he did get better quotes than what, I just estimated 15 grand.
yeah,
He came in with about $11,000, $10,660.
yes.
So, we can reduce that number at least down to 11,000.
Well, of course, hose is really only good, 10 years?
I'm sorry.
10 years for hose?
we've
No, I
discussed
think
that
it all
before.
depends on the testing. Turnout gear is 10
There is
years.
no packet for it.
Yeah, there's no life.
That
So,
was a last minute item, but there are a couple of last minute items he had.
You didn't do a paper on it?
Yeah, no, I know that.
I think there should be something in there on the hose, right?
No, because I didn't.
There's a
look
line
tonight, but
Oh,
No,
I did put
Chris
it in
Chris
line
has it
item.
on
okay.
here.
So I had 3 other line items just because that line doesn't reconcile the other.
Chris,
two.
by the
Okay.
way, this was put together unbelievably well.
It was.
It was very easy, and I'm not kidding.
Had a lot of help.
It was very easy to follow, very.
So
So,
how,
He's got, oops, sorry.
I was just gonna say, how often do we replace the hoses?
So we test, we have to test our hose once a year. It all depends on how much it's dragged, how much it's beat up going down the street, when we're laying the line in on the 4-inch. I do try to replace, if we do have a fire and we destroy some hose, we're allowed to go back under the insurance company, under the homeowner's insurance, and get some replacements. We have done
Nice.
that in the past
Nice.
on small stuff. Usually the first 50 feet, can get really messed up in a fire as far as the soot that it inhales, the oils, and all soaks into if we can't get it cleaned, we try to get it replaced through the insurance companies.
Because I feel like when I was on the budget committee, it was something that kept getting cut or reduced.
Yes.
Each year. Do you recall that? Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we had quality hoses, obviously.
Yeah, under Chris's recommendation, I think we put in for like just a couple extra pieces have some spare on the shelf in case of an emergency. And then we do recycle some of our old stuff. We find where the leaks are, and we actually cut the leaks out, and we make what we call a short shot, a 15-foot shot or a 20-foot shot. So we don't just completely throw it away. We do cut it shorter. Sometimes you pull up the hydrant and you're really close. We'll just take that short shot and use it. Once we do cut it, we test it on our own at certain pressures. And so if we have a 100-foot shot, we try to get whatever we can out of it before we throw it away. So,
Oh, that's what this is.
that's pretty much where we are with that. I don't know if you want to talk about
So there are a couple of other items. He's got a couple of structures that have gable ends on them, need to be replaced. So he did get some quotes, that were staggering to me, but
yeah, right,
So-
I agree.
10,000?
no,
Oh.
I just
So-
plugged the number in because I had no idea until he.
So I, again, I guess the challenge that we face is it's very difficult to get contractors to want to work, to come out and look at stuff, right? So the same contractor I've got to do the quote, he came out and gave me a quote on doing some siding on the fire stations. Crandall Road is probably the worst out of all of them. A lot of my gable ends, they have 4 gable ends. So all of our stations are built on cinder block up. So on the top, everything is wood. A couple of years back, we had the roof replaced on Station 3. But the gable ends, where all the wood is like a texture 111, and it's really starting to rot out.
Or it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. So I guess without spending a ton of money on the stations, the easiest fix would be replacing some of the small pieces of rot and then covering it with the vinyl siding. I got one price, only one price, because it's very difficult to get everybody out there. $17,000 just to do Station 3. I think it's a little high to do just plain old siding. And that's to do the soffits, to pull the gutters off, to do soup to nuts, the whole thing. They're gonna remove the gutters, wrap it the proper way. It was $17,000 to do Station 3. Station 2, they came in with a bid of like $10,000, and basically that was just to do the soffits in the rear of the building, because a few years back we did the front out of building maintenance. And when we did the front, it was only a few $1,000s. I know costs have risen, but it was under the bid amount, let's put it that way.
So we definitely want to go out to bid if we're going to do this. This is a priority project. If it's one of the ones that you want, then we'll come up with some better numbers, but it's definitely going to be more than 10 grand, but it's probably going to be less than 20.
And then finally, the third station will probably need it at some point, but it's in much better condition than the other 2 stations, being built in 81. North Tiverton was 56.
Yeah,
And
then when
East-
I was born.
Right, and East Tiverton, Crandall Road was 19, I think they did the additions in 70, 71. So our buildings are getting kind of old and beat up, so.
So, and the last item I put on is protective equipment replacement. He's got, how many guys now? 6 you need?
So as of right now, we all know we hired the 9 firefighters. So 4 were already placed in gear 4 of the new ones were placed in the last budget. And right now I have 5 new firefighters without gear. We're actually renting. And I have 1 firefighter who is in gear that's from 2003, so he's expired. The 10-year shelf life is going to expire.
So he's got some money in his budget to handle those. The
Yes.
issue is the 10-year is coming up. He's going to have to replace some others.
You meant 2013, not 2003.
No,
For the last guy, as you said, 10 years life? Okay.
2003, correct.
Oh, so it's 20 years of life for him?
no,
It's 10 years.
Yeah, for his.
So
Way overdue.
Right.
He's overdue by,
Yes,
By 20 years?
yes.
By 10, I got it,
Yes.
okay.
Oh my God.
This is not safe.
So, and he's done a complete inventory of who has what.
So
what
yes, we did a complete inventory, and right now, my priority is have 6 firefighters I need to outfit to current standards. We do have the money in the budget to do that now. Me and the administrator
years. I'd
talked.
like to get to be a year ahead of, and that's what the other 6 is for.
Oh, okay, so
To
that way
replace,
everything's
they're not
expiring.
due for another, but if he can get at least by the end of the year, get them squared away.
My next priority of the next rotation is 2024 and 2025 is when they're coming due.
Right.
Right, but if we keep putting.
Yes, so if,
And
I have
6 months?
enough to cover the 6, and then I have a little bit of extra to stop bringing in. So when we go to the gear closet, I have a spare face piece in case of damage, some extra gloves, some extra hoods.
And the life only starts when you actually use it, not while it's stored?
It's manufacturer date.
Okay, so you don't want to stockpile it too far
No, you
ahead?
can't.
Not with the turnout gear, just with the gloves and the hoods and the stuff that
The
doesn't
accessory
really
issues, you
expire.
can't. It's-
Are those like custom size?
Yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing is we're all custom fit to our gear. But I had another, a Pimento, he left the department, his gear came in brand new. They wouldn't cancel his order. I took his gear and had it resized for a firefighter that was due. We can go up 4 inches and down 4 inches. So if there's a set of gear that needs to be manipulated, we'll send it back out. And of course, it's like an $800 charge, but it's still better than
$5 grand.
$5 grand for a set of gear. And that's what I did with the last new set. We just repurposed it, changed it, and I fit it. So that guy's off my list.
So
All right, Mike.
Just a comment and maybe a question that'll be putting you on the spot.
Sure.
Comment is, 6 out of the first 7 items that you discussed are all things that have been set aside for years. And we're now at the point where if we don't do something with most of them, for some aspects, something catastrophic could happen. And I know all of us have seen posts on social media, have received correspondence saying, why are you putting this money, why aren't you putting this right into the general fund so it can just pull down taxes? I think this,
What will show
yeah,
up.
this is these are perfect examples, and there will be others tonight too, that speak to how we have to do these things. We should have done these before, but for a variety of reasons, they weren't done. I won't go into that.
Right.
But the money that we're getting from gamblers helps us invest in the future of our town without astronomically increasing taxes. And so my spot for you, and you can say, I'm not ready to do that, and I'm not suggesting you would have to, but if you had to pick 3 of these, top 3,
We could take the building maintenance and throw it out the window. So I would have to go, the rescue computers are pretty important. That tracks everything we do. That's our patient care, that's our run numbers that go to the state. That's how we get our billing information. So the computers are pretty, I mean, it's the smallest thing here, but it's pretty important to have to be in the 21st century and make that life easy.
and the money that we recover from that through billing doesn't go back to the fire department.
It does not, it goes
Right.
into the general
It goes
fund.
into the general fund, which again
Right.
is used for tax
Correct.
purposes.
Then I would have to move down to the air compressor, for our air packs. I mean, if we can't fill our air packs, we have a definite problem.
Well,
So-
the firefighters have a definite
Right.
problem.
Right, so it would have to be the air packs.
And how about the jaws of life?
It's important. Could I operate with what I have? I could. It is up there on the list, but I mean, if we planned in the future, and to be honest with you, I haven't brought it to the administrator's attention yet, but there is a DOT grant out there for this type of stuff. I haven't brought it to his attention yet. Waiting to get all the documentation in, and I want to present it to him, and that could solve that issue. I hear it's a pretty common grant that the DOT usually awards regularly.
So it's
So-
not highly competitive?
Right, from what I understand, the DOT has money set aside for things like this, and they usually award them.
The only thing that I disagree with you about the maintenance,
I know.
Station One's new roof, by having that there and leaking for another 10 years,
Well,
you're gonna have more of a problem in
Yeah.
that building. We're gonna have a mold problem, we're going to have, and,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
That-
I put him on the spot.
no, but I just,
totally agree.
I wanna
totally-
see if you agree with me, because this is why we have problems.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna quote Joe Souza, but I will. Sometimes we don't fix the little things, and in the long run,
Oh,
they
it's-
become the
it's-
big
It's,
things. And this is what he used to complain about, so if Joe's watching, you'll be happy.
yes.
Because that's what we're trying to
I mean,
fix.
building and maintenance obviously is a concern. Exactly. We went through Station 2 a couple of years ago. We thought we had some old issues in there.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, we had leaking pipes underneath the underneath.
That were fixed.
Yeah, it was all fixed. It was underneath. We had some leaking pipes that were, again, back in the 50s. It is important, but I mean,
Yeah, I know.
we're just behind the eight ball on a few things, and there's just so many things we have to, so I kind of tried to put the most important stuff forward. The fire hose, we do need feeder line, but if I had to pick, I'd make what I have work.
Can't fight a fire without hose.
And
Well,
then how about the one that we have one box and we need the second box?
so the Vision 21, I think, would be a part of the long plan for the whole dispatch center. Yes, it is important because that's how the townspeople and that's how they report to us in the fire alarm system. Secana Bay Manor, the town hall, all our businesses report that way. And that machine also is gonna be out of date pretty soon. Like, they're saying within 5 years.
I thought it was out of it.
Yes, they're saying within 5 years, we won't even be able to get the parts. It's almost like our radio system.
And we already have one of them, so we were starting on this
We haven't
project.
bought it yet, we haven't.
We have the money set
Money for
aside.
it, so that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you, good job, Craig.
Thanks.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, thank you. Nothing else?
Anything else? I think we're good.
No, I will comment, there's nothing on this list that did not, well, the gable ends, but most of it came before the budget committee for at least 3 out of 4 years I was there.
And put on the back burner, and now we have aged equipment,
lot
and
of
we
it,
have
yeah.
hoses breaking, and air packs we can't fill, so.
It's little things that are getting bigger, so.
And so,
Get more expensive over time.
so if you look at the TA priorities, Chris kind of put his, so that came out to 291,000 for the entire fire.
Sometimes my numbers are a little bit different because the quotes are just old enough
Yeah.
that they really, you can tell from quote
Well-
to quote that they're gonna go up again.
Well, you
That's-
rounded them up, most of
Right,
them.
most
Yeah.
of them were rounded up because.
Yeah,
they
and we
were like-
understand that, but it's ballpark.
But we also could, if that DOT grant is something that we can
Yeah.
look at to maybe cut back on some of this.
Yeah.
Craig, is
Not-
that DOT grant time sensitive?
No, it's not. I don't believe it is.
That's the
Some
thing.
former employees that were here,
No, he's got an AFG grant for radios.
Oh, okay.
yes, and 2 rounds have come out so far with that, and we have not made the 2 rounds, so that they'll be giving those out until,
End of September, probably.
I think so, yes, so fingers crossed that that's
I'm
still
still waiting
coming.
on the safer grant.
The safer grant, they have not released, they have not started any
Nobody's
releases.
got released yet.
Right,
I
on the
was
safer
thinking
grant.
about that a couple of days ago.
What did you say?
42,006. A lot of those grants aren't announced till the end of September.
So I did 80 grand, so I took 35 from 80, so it's 45 grand more.
All right,
So the 291, Denise, it's not 291.
right, it'll be that.
It's less because of the vision.
Yeah,
Right,
it'll be
okay.
that's, yeah.
Police next?
Yeah, come on, Patrick. We're gonna talk about cars again. It's like a deja vu every year. Who are you bringing up?
Sergeant, also, this
Oh, you know what?
Officer Clemens and
Poor
Officer
thing.
Melody are here. just.
Poor Sergeant Ledoux, you always get him.
Well, I look at it as, it's a leadership exercise in case I get hit by a bus. You know that your police
Now,
department is in
in
good
case
hands.
you win the mega bucks lottery.
What I'd like to do, and I know the administrator told me that the
Oh my God,
backup
no.
that you had was a little foggy.
It's the same backup, it's just, it's really.
It's just.
Did you see it?
Yes. It was a PDF, I cleaned it up a little bit.
I was reading it last night thinking, you're right, I was like, I'm done.
I'm good, I can figure it out.
So Patrick,
Yes, ma'am.
let's talk about cars.
Let's talk about cars. So if you look,
Is this one I wanna look at?
yes, so if you don't mind, on the cover sheet that I gave you, the initial proposal that I gave with the budget for capital broke down some, what we feel are needs of the police department. Obviously, patrol vehicles are at the top of the list, but just to kind of move down, and we can definitely go back to patrol vehicles. I initially had put in for mobile data terminals for $58,000. So that we cut because we were able to get a grant through Jack Byrne.
So it's 12,000 now?
So we were
Yeah,
able
I
to-
know where you're coming. So now you can buy a car with that money.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that we were able to save some money through grants.
Patrick, I've been going through this with you for 10 years, so I know how you are about your cars.
So, and also when it comes to body armor, we put in for $15,000, and also there's a breakdown with that. We were able to get a grant for $17,000 as a 50% match. So $30,000, much like the chief said about the turnout gear for his firefighters, with us, body armor is 5 years. So many of your police officers are way past the expiration date of the 5 years. With $17,000, it would, with a $15,000 and the $17,000 match, you'd be able to give body armor to all your police officers, which aside from the cars, I know you asked the chief the same question, would be at the top of the list for needs of the police department.
Well, it's safety.
Of course. So cars, if you turn to page 3, this list has been updated as of today.
John, this is a real good leadership thing. You're gonna see how he gets cars from us. All right, go ahead.
Everything above the blue line is all the administrative vehicles in the police department. My car, detective units, administrative staff. Everything below the blue line are the patrol vehicles that respond to emergencies. With the exception of car 38, that's the pickup truck. And if you look car 44, which is the 2013 Dodge, that was the SRO vehicle. That's been out of service for 4 months because it needs a camshaft.
Yeah.
According to the mechanic, it would cost over $10,000 to repair the car. The cost of the repair is worth more than the car, so it's been grounded for about 4 months.
Didn't we buy a pickup truck recently?
That is the ACO truck, the 2021 Chevy Colorado. Yeah. So that was for the ACO wagon. So everything in red is over 100,000 miles. Everything in yellow is getting close to 100,000 miles, which by the end of the year, we have 11 vehicles in patrol that respond to emergencies. By the end of the year, 8 of them will be over 100,000 miles. So I'm requesting that you fund 3 police vehicles. Of the 3 initially that we bought under the USDA grant, the 2018s, and you'll see them here, they're all in yellow. And it's, doesn't seem like that long ago, and it wasn't, but one of them is 93,500 miles as of today.
And that's, you don't, well, you probably have to go like to Providence to court and things like that with those, so that's probably, they're mostly local miles though.
Yes, and also, and I know we've talked about this before, you can multiply that by 3, because when they're at an accident, when they're in the scene, when those lights are going on, the engine doesn't stop.
Right.
Now, the vehicles you want are the Explorers?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have a car 64?
No. If you give me 3 vehicles.
54, that's what it was.
If you give me 3 vehicles,
Why
we can
can't
make that happen.
54. We don't have lots of most of them.
Well,
So, Chief,
Yes.
are any of the replacements expected to be hybrids?
Not yet. So I know that there is a big push on the electric vehicles or the hybrid vehicles, which I am all in favor of. As a matter of fact, and I know I'll get some chuckles, Barrington Police is trying a Ford Mustang hybrid. Right, I am welcome to have and entertain that discussion, but for right now, the SUVs haven't gone hybrid. I know the sergeant will be the first one in line to take that car.
Yeah, he wants it.
That sounds like the
He just
police
looked
chief.
at me like,
But Barrington Police is testing it out, and it's a Ford Mustang hybrid.
okay,
But I would imagine by 2024, 2025 models, that it'll be hybrid. I know I had a discussion also with the town administrator. So we have the availability to get the 2022s still. 2023s, the number that I gave you, it'll go up $4,000 a car.
no grants for this time?
Not yet. The federal budget cycle starts October 1st. So that's something that we're always looking out for.
We'll be meeting with USDA in the next week or two.
She just got promoted, by the way, too. Rebecca, our friend at USDA,
Oh.
she's one of 6 nationwide specialists, but we made sure she doesn't give up Tiverton.
She's our friend.
She is our friend,
She's been very good to us.
yeah. She's very nice.
And just the, the other issues on that front cover sheet, patrol vehicles clearly at the top of the list, body armor second. The lockers, so I know that you all are all aware of the lockers, both male and female. Given the diversity of the police department right now, when it comes to our female police officers, who 2/3 of them are in the room right now, and we're constantly hiring and recruiting so we can expand that, because we definitely believe in that. The way that their locker room is set up, opposed to the male locker room, is there is one toilet inside the locker room. So when someone is using the facilities, everyone else has to wait to get in there so they can gear up to go on duty. This is something that clearly we definitely need to look at. The radio equipment that I put also on the list, and I know I'm having conversations with the town administrator about using opera money, that's something that's gonna cross into,
It's not on, I didn't put it in the game.
so that's, I know we had something about,
That's full, okay.
opera money and possibly other
Yeah.
grants that we're looking at. The live scan machine, so what that is an automated fingerprint machine. That came in, it's over 20 years old.
It's 1995.
So like anything, it's at the end of life. When that goes down, we're not doing fingerprints anymore, or we're going old school and we're going inked.
We're not doing fingerprints
do that.
anymore.
Well, we're gonna do
They
ink
won't gonna
fingerprints.
They won't to do
They won't
it
take
anymore.
Right, so,
They'll be taking them to the AG's office.
it's clearly something that we definitely
Putting
need.
miles
We
on
are
the
looking for grants along that line. But, and I know I spoke with the administrator about possibly leasing the machine, so this way it stays under warranty in case there are any issues with it. And then the last thing that I'll definitely throw in, which is something that we should be talking about, and I know the chief alluded to it, given the age of his stations, putting some money aside so we can look at a future public safety complex study. I hate to spend money to tell us that our facilities are antiquated, because I'll do that for you for free tonight. But I think we need a professional firm to come in and talk about what the future of our public safety is and what we're gonna do with these buildings. And that kind of addresses the needs of female police officers, female firefighters, training, where we're going to put facilities in the future of our public safety response system. Our police department's over 50 years old. As you know, it was built for 12 people. I have 65 people with reserves, specials, full-time and professional staff that move in and out of that police department every day. We are way, way, way beyond what we need. So I think we're at a point, at a juncture, that we need to talk about what our future public safety complex needs are, both police, fire, and communications.
What is this locker weapon?
So that one, there's a third one, and thank you. As part of accreditation, when we store a weapon, we need to store it in the evidence room, securely in a locker inside the evidence room. So I was going to buy that at the end of the year because it was under $4,000, but it kind of got caught up in all the capital needs. So I did bring it forward to you now. It's under $4,000. It's $3,900. We need that to maintain accreditation. It's something we could probably talk about buying out of my normal operating budget, but it was one of the original requests.
Okay.
So this is for a weapon taken as evidence.
Correct, correct. It needs to be stored twice. Locked up
Yeah.
twice.
Got it.
All right.
So there was one other item on there that
Yeah.
I kind of threw in there, the chief doesn't really know about it, I don't think he does. It's, part of the solar farm, they have to destroy some buildings, there's a steel building up there. that can be
Is that
dispatched.
what this concrete slab
It
is?
would be pour the slab for that, so that we can, we're paying 30 grand a year to maintain a dog shelter. I'd love to be able to have our own and repurpose that metal building. We've already talked to the owners, they're gonna let us in, take a look at it. But it's just a conceptual issue right now, is we could
Is it
move
big
that
enough?
building. We could move that building, externally, we looked at it.
Oh, you do know about it.
It's 25, well, he didn't put it in his plan, but,
He's mentioned
so it was about 25 by 35, something like that. So it's
Two stalls, a garage. I mean, if we can move it to the back of the police department, as you know, we've got those two tractor trailer that is sinking into the ground, we'd get rid of all of it. And just kind of use this as a shelter slash animal, storage facility. It's got a garage. We'd put the animal control officer's office in there too.
But we'd have to staff this
Right.
animal shelter.
Yeah,
We would, what we'd be looking at is in speaking with Jennifer, she's lucky to maybe have one animal a month. And knowing that, and we'd have 6 to 8 cages in there, we put a camera in there. We'd have to put environmental controls, heat, air conditioning. She'd have her office in there 5 days a week. Maybe get some interns or staff from either the school department, high school students, or people that just want to volunteer, give them community service hours. And then, obviously, the ACO would be diligent, as she is now, about trying to find the owners of those animals. So if we did do something like this, the push would be, we don't want to keep anything in the shelter
How
beyond.
about overnight, would it be the,
I'm sorry?
overnight, who would?
So, food, water, she'd come in the morning and she'd walk them, and then we'd have, obviously,
Well, we'd have the
environmental.
cameras.
that's what
And
we
the
do
cameras.
now.
Yes.
We have to do this now.
No, I'm just asking.
No,
just-
right. We'd have a camera in there that'd be feed right into dispatch.
Anyway, that's what I was, the
Are-
dispatches will be watching.
Are there certain regulations that we have to?
There are, we'd have
Yes.
to, we'd have to make
We'd
sure
have to
we're
get
all-
it certified.
Yeah, because we've talked about this and it was a little bit cumbersome.
It is,
Everything
but
we'd have to do.
There's a raft of regulations.
Okay,
again, it's conceptual, and we're trying to save money down the road, but it's.
yeah. Okay,
So, the one piece I just want to speak to is the feasibility study. I totally agree with you that when I toured it that one day, it was deplorable. And you have done a great job, and your predecessors of, keeping your fingers in the dikes, putting the Band-Aids over things, but, you can't keep doing that, and be safe. I mean, and the areas for our female law enforcement officers to use, if my daughter were that, I would not want that for her. And so I think, I'm just wondering, is $25,000 enough?
I have estimates going up as high as 150. So I think it's mostly à la carte. I mean, if we want to start a conversation, I would request that we allocate some funding, put it out to RFP, see what we could get. So at least we're just thinking about what it should look like. I know the administrator and I have spoken about having a section for the police department, the fire department. I'd like to have a community section. I know the library with their community spaces have been a great success for the town. I would love to have a community space training area for the community so they can come in. You want to have a Boy Scout meeting at 2 a.m., it'll be the safest Boy Scout meeting you could possibly have. So, because we're open 24/7. And I mean, having a space
those
like
things
that for
publicly.
anything.
I know I attended a
And
meeting
there's,
once, and he's
there's
registered
actually
their
money out there
fire.
available for this.
Yeah, at their
So-
police department, I attended one.
all right.
Community.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
DPW, Rick?
I don't want to step on anybody's toes, Denise, but I'm happy to defer it to John for Child Safety Day.
We
Oh, we already
we
did
that.
it.
Done.
Good idea, I had it before you.
Thank you.
That was nice of you. Sit down.
I want to be in a run.
I don't recognize him, no mask.
Yeah, I know, he's doing
Holy
good.
crap.
All right, Rick. You wanna start? We have the first item is a mower.
Yes,
Okay.
happy to answer any questions if the explanation is not sufficient.
So this is a sidearm?
Yes, the tractor itself has had its problems over the years, but so far right now, it seems to be running okay. The rear deck is also had its problems, but just recently, we had to replace the U-joint and the clutch, et cetera, but it seems to be running okay now. The knuckle boom conked out last year. It's about 80 grand to repair it, not replace it. So we're opting for a less expensive, but it also doesn't do as many things as the knuckle boom. It's gonna be a straight arm, sidearm mower. So we would have to either do it by hand or sub out to somebody else. The items, for instance, behind guardrail, unless you can get the mower itself. But there's a fair amount of areas where the knuckle boom is nice, because, yes, but it's really cost-wise, you don't get enough bang for your buck as far as.
So percentage-wise, how much of the mowing requires a knuckle boom, roughly?
Yeah, I haven't done a real analysis on that, Mike, but I would say maybe 25-30% would use a knuckle boom.
So then we'd be farming out 25 or 30%,
Yes.
or hand cutting, which takes people away from other.
Or you would, because people do have them, people do have knuckle booms, so you would hire somebody to do that.
So the rear mower itself doesn't do much either, because it only gives you a little slice.
You have
Because
to
it
be,
follows behind the tractor, so you really need a side boom.
Right, no, I get that, I'm just trying to
Exactly.
figure out, does it make sense to do the knuckle?
Right.
the knuckle is nicer, but the money's an object.
Right.
So,
Right.
Well, it's also more prone to be damaged.
The knuckle?
well, I would say this, Jay, it has more moving parts, so it's more likely to fail. But as far as damage goes, the biggest damage is simply the fact that Tiverton, besides being beautiful, has a lot of stone walls, which adds to its beauty, and you can't always see them,
Stone walls and stumps.
and stumps.
And ledge.
So, and it, ideally, no matter what it is, it needs to be a dedicated employee doing it, because they are more familiar with putting a new employee in all the time, and it's difficult.
All right, so we're gonna buy two used plows, well, two trucks.
Trucks.
Well-
Plows.
Well, it may seem that way, but it's one. And the reason for that is, last year, when we did it, we were blessed, we had sanding bodies that existed. We don't have sanding bodies. We had three
Oh,
1990s sanding bodies. One of them was considered, after review, to be non-fixable, because it wasn't worth the money. So we took two of those bodies off and put them on the two Freightliners, which we purchased. So now, what we're looking at is you have to buy a used truck, and we did learn the hard way that prices have gone up. And we learned that we had to do more repairs on some of these used trucks than we had to. So you're looking probably around 50 for a sanding body with a four-way plow, with the frame, et cetera. Then you're looking at maybe around, well, our hope is about 40 for a used truck and about 15 for repairs. But in any combination thereof, that's why the number is 105.
Okay,
So how big?
I didn't get that out of the memo.
It would be about the same size as we have now for the Freightliners, something along the lines of, somewhere around 35,000, 32,000 GVW.
okay.
So we still have a number of old plows that are fixed that they can't maneuver. And it makes it very difficult for them to clean up the roads, because it only angles one way. So that's why he's looking to buy 3 4-way
Yeah.
plows to replace those older systems.
And,
So that's 66,000.
right, and the four-way sounds nice, everything is marketing. Four-way, 2 of those ways are up and down.
Yeah, but it also gives you the other angle.
Yes.
So Rick, are these plows,
He is funny.
the ones you would get, they could also be taken off and put on newer, different vehicles in the future
Yes,
with slight modification?
Yes. And the one thing as far as phraseology, if, I'd like to know what the limitations are. If we find that since when we submitted this to when we actually try to purchase it, that the prices have skyrocketed, does that, and we can't buy 3, what happens to the money? Say that you find that it's, instead of being about 22 grand, they're 28 or 30. Now you can only buy 2. So I'd like it phrased, if I may, that up to 3 plows with the administrator or the town council president, whatever, saying that, okay, that price is still close enough to the 22,000. Because I don't wanna find out that I asked for 66, received 66, and then find out I can't buy 3 for 66. And prices have gone up, availability is going up. And
That makes sense.
Okay.
and also, if I may, on the roadside mowing, if we were to find a fantastic deal on a used knuckle boom, then again, we talk to Chris and say, you know, we can buy this knuckle boom for the 40,000. We would definitely consider that if it's in decent shape. But we don't expect that.
All right. 25-ton trailer.
Yes, we would like a tag-along trailer. We could actually move our equipment, including the dozer, with that. Right now, we have to keep subbing that out, which limits us to A, having somebody available, and B, you're paying each time they move. So,
Okay.
It also limits some wear and tear on the front end loader, on the backhoe, all things that he could move without having to run them across the road.
A skid steer. It's expensive, whatever it is.
yes, that's with some attachments.
Oh, it's like a Bobcat.
It is about that.
Oh.
But it has some of the attachments he needs.
Exactly, yeah. It would be hypocritical if I didn't support that, right? After 2 years of budgeting, he's asked for a forklift. 15,000, and I argued with him.
Yeah.
I said, you ain't buying no forklift for 15,000. I said, why don't you buy a skid steerer, and we can use it multi-purpose, whether we need to make put poles for the dog
No.
park or whatever, we don't have to rent it or whatever
Can't do
we.
that with the skids. Yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
We can do it, you can do anything with this Bobcat.
He really
Well,
likes it.
I mean, you
Skids is
can't,
Bill's pet.
you can't drive a
pet
police car
project.
with it, but I mean, it's
I
it's
wish we
driving.
could
well,
build
yeah.
a police car with it.
Yeah.
He's been after one of these for 6 years, and I know him.
Yeah, you've been asking for this for a long time.
I feel like
My-
a deja vu.
At least one of my predecessors was asking. for it.
Yeah.
The only
Yes.
thing I would say,
Yes.
Bill, was never an argument with you and me, it was only a discussion.
Well, we discussed, well, the estimate was years old, I think you had quoted me, and we talked about it 2 years ago, and the forklift doesn't have brakes.
Right.
So to drive anything without brakes, you know, I mean, it's kind of a safety issue, I would
Yeah.
think. Right, so,
So we
But
could
we
put,
tried.
we could put forks on the skid steer.
All right, now the last 2 items Chris didn't agree with. Well,
So-
didn't, was,
One of them is, non-road stone drainage, which, we do have some materials in-house, and if we had to, we would deal with it, but the other one is the Riverside
Yeah.
Drive, and I think, Rick and I might have a solution for that. We need to get CRMC approval, but I invite you all to take a ride up to the landfill and see the amount of stone that we've taken out of that landfill.
oh,
We're talking
Big
a
stone.
massive. Probably enough to put riprap from the landfill all the way to Riverside Drive.
You wanna sell any of it?
Well, we'd like to, actually, that's, because we're gonna get a massive change order from the contractor as well. But we're looking for ways to utilize it, but in order to maybe fix the Riverside Drive area, we're gonna need CRMC assent to do this, but maybe we could place some of this stone along that embankment to help preserve that road. We have plenty of it. But it's not like I'm not recommending that we not spend money, we just don't know really, I think he's taking a good stab at it, but I don't really understand what that number means until we can formulate something that we can do internally.
so without those 2 items, his request comes whereabouts of 336,
Right.
336.
And-
But like you said, you may need a little more or a little less here, or,
Yes.
okay.
So, and last year what you did was, I think, whatever the number was, there was like a $40,000 reserve.
Yep.
And we would just come back to the council and kind of explain, some adjustments or either.
I don't even
up or
know if
down.
you need to come back to the council, as long as we say,
Yep, that's.
do it, all agree, yeah.
Can I ask two questions about
Of course
skid
you
steer?
can.
So number one,
Be careful, Bill's gonna defend this.
oh, that's fine, you'll probably agree. How are you gonna get this thing around?
Well, hopefully we get a tag along.
So you're gonna need another trailer. Right, that's number one.
No,
Number
he-
two,
he's got the tag.
one of your statements was you would use it for clearing sidewalks, that kind of thing. During snow events, when you already don't have enough people to man the trucks,
Well, this
would be well after the storm event.
could be after the storm, but it's also, you can sweep with it, you can grade with it, you can mill with it. We rented one along the sewer line, for instance. You wouldn't have to rent
I
it.
understand that, I'm just worried about how you're gonna man it and how you're gonna get it around town.
Well, that's why he wants the tag along.
The 25-ton trailer is way more than you need to haul.
No,
but
it would
still-
haul it.
It would haul
It would
it,
haul it.
right, but then he could haul his other equipment with it too, so it's one that could haul everything.
It could use a 4-ton trailer.
And depending on what the weight is, we do have another trailer that we can use.
You do.
Yes. It's more like it might be a 8,000 or a 10,000.
Well, I'll let's get steer.
How many miles do these things last for?
Hours.
Yeah, hours.
Hours.
If you use it properly, it can last decades.
Yeah, I asked because when I lived in northern New Hampshire a while back, way up north on the Canadian border, this headline story in the local paper was, I forget the guy's name, his skid steer had passed 1 million hours. That was the story.
And it probably did.
It's way up north where they didn't have a lot to do.
Well, they had a lot to do with it.
Well, I'm saying, there was no other big stories.
That's,
Yeah.
that's a lot, that's 50 years. So,
Having said that, though, we've asked everyone else if you have 3 priorities.
yes.
If we had to pick, I know the DPW has more than 3 usually, but if there was 3 that we had to choose from, to be fair to the other departments.
Yep, and that's what I'd like to do, obviously, be fair to everybody. Or we did have listed, but it may be under something else, the town hall
Yeah,
repairs
we're gonna go back to that.
and recreation.
Yeah, but let's just talk about
Okay.
this.
So, and if I may, before I answer Bill's question, just on Riverside Drive, it's not so important to get the 475 today. It's to have a plan
To think about it.
and think about it, and maybe the town council would say, look, let's put $100,000 aside, $100,000 aside another time. Because what we'd like to do, and it includes that in the price, is drainage on the east side besides the riprap and the road itself. And if it washes away, I'm not sure you'd ever get a permit to put it back. You can get a permit to maintain it, but if it disappeared, the town would lose a great asset.
So in terms of climate change, are there any monies out there to look at? Because we know that Riverside Drive is an area that's going to be significantly affected.
So I can talk to Commerce, who's actually running a lot of that, find out what's out there and available. The infrastructure bank does have some money, but I'm not sure that this would qualify for one of their projects. That would be more of a resiliency project than it would be, and it wouldn't, that funding would probably only give us somewhere about $30,000 to $50,000 if we could do that. But I'll look around to see if there are other grants that are out there available.
Craig's raising his hand.
The Riverside Drive, that in the flood, that's considered in the flood zone too, right? So hazard mitigation, there's grant money for hazard mitigation, for that also.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I do want to say something about the DPW department. Last year, we didn't give them as much as the other departments. And we always kind of push you back a little bit. It could be because the other departments complain a lot. No, I'm only kidding. They're the loudest, is that best? But
I'll take that as a compliment.
it is a compliment, it is. But I think we need to realize that we put off some of this for way too long. And we've done it in the past.
I feel like this is deja vu.
Yeah, this is,
list.
Rick,
It's-
every time you come up, I feel like
Yeah.
I've heard you before say these same exact things. So I just want to say that I think we should really look at their requests closely because we've put off these objects since they've been on the budget committee.
I think actually
way before that.
prior to you,
Yes.
Rick, I think
Oh, yeah.
some of these items, it goes back that far.
So,
We appreciate your consideration, thank you very much, and for thinking of these things that we feel that we need. But we understand we're town-wide, so that
Well, I know.
everybody has to pitch in, and everybody's got their own needs, so we understand that. But if we had to list three, it would be the mower, side-on mower, the used truck, and the four-way plows.
the plows. And keep that in mind, we're always in need of plows and we tend to put that off a little bit.
And I would, well, it's not traditional public safety. If you can't plow the roads, they can't get around. There's more accidents that are gonna happen. There's people they can't get to who are having medical emergencies, so that's public safety too.
Yes,
Thank you.
but I would really like to buy you that Bobcat.
Skid steer.
Let's get there.
That's a brand name, that's why we don't do that. Bobcat is a brand name.
Yeah, all right, but I just know he's
They're
been
different,
asking,
they're different, no, I get it. It's-
he's been asking for this
No,
for, and Bill's a big promoter of that right now.
I guess shares, no, I don't. No.
Don't even start that. All right, town hall.
Thank you.
So town hall,
Do you
there
have any
are,
questions
You're
for me on town hall?
Yeah, well, it's,
there are a couple of items here that we can address, but, and I'll get to, because one of them is a priority that I'll get to.
You already yelled from the back.
No,
but-
stay
So,
here.
so TPW maintenance staff has put together like the first four bullets of items that they see that are in dire need of being replaced.
have you seen this? No. Go ahead.
The south side of the building and the east wall are in pretty difficult shape, especially the south side. There's a bow window over there that really has a gap in it that's about 2 inches wide.
Over at his place.
No, and the
Oh, over
building
there,
office.
all right, I'm sorry.
Um,
I don't remember.
And the
seeing-
walkway out front needs to be repaired. It has a dip in it, and during the winter time, it gets a ice pocket. There's some soffit repairs that are needed. But I also asked around the building, like, Jonas told me, like, there are windows in her office that need to be replaced. The carpeting in both her office and the treasurer's office are in desperate need of being replaced. At
haven't
least
done
the treasurer's is disgusting. There are some AC issues in this town hall that we're all aware of. So there are some disparities here, and it's because what I was originally looking at was putting in a system that would do the treasurer's office, the clerk, the tax collections office, and my office as one. Another one that would do Jones. And then in the next year, we would look at doing those two offices over there. But they are, you know, you look at the size of that area versus, and there is one in the vault that, but it only does the vault, right. So, that's why there is some disparity as far as the AC units go. The other thing is in the lower level, they have a real humidity issue down there, and putting in some new dehumidifiers would be very helpful.
I've been down
And the
there.
other thing that we don't have is any way to protect our files down there. There's no fireproof cabinets at all down there. So there is a need to,
This has been a request in the past.
yeah, but I don't think that we
I
have
I
them.
don't think we've ever done it,
Not
but
so
it,
much the cabinets, just shelving.
no,
So,
this has been a request. I remember Nancy
Yeah.
talking about this.
well, the other issue is should we look at centralizing records and getting them out of here, which is another. Do I go to Iron Mountain or somebody else to store our
Yeah.
permanent records, which is another project that we haven't really got to yet. So from my view, if you were to look at three high priorities, it would be at least fix the south side wall. Fix the
Right.
window, I consider that to be one project. The carpeting that needs to be done in both the treasurer and the clerk's office, and look at maybe some additional AC units. Those would be my three highest priorities. I
Now,
don't know if Jonah, Denise have other ones, but, you know, that's,
My question is, are any of these windows leaking?
the one in the building office doesn't cap that like
Well,
that.
then we need to do
That,
that.
that one needs to definitely
Because
be
like
done.
I
The whole
said,
siding around
that's
is
gonna
coming
become even more of an issue
Right.
down the line.
Yep.
And that's what happens, we put off this, and then all of a sudden this whole wall's gonna be replaced, and, all right,
And-
so
and
I,
Along with Chris was saying, Denise, I would request that it be put in a lump sum, not X amount for this, because
Right.
with prices going
We'd have
up,
to go out to bid for most of it.
Yeah.
you might find they can't do the window for that price, but you could if you took a little
Yeah.
from this.
yeah. Well, I
So-
think what we'd be the smartest to do is get a bottom line of all of this, and
Right.
then say
Yeah,
if it goes
so-
40
so-
or so, this is what you got to spend on these 4 projects or 5 projects.
Okay. So we did authorize, what I didn't put in here was, the last council meeting, we did authorize AC to be put in here. But what we didn't say is where it was gonna be funded from.
Oh,
So we can either use gaming money, or I can look at the council contingency funds, or,
I think I
or
did say,
municipal
yeah,
capital.
I don't know if it was the vote.
Well, I don't, we didn't do anything with gaming, so I know that we didn't do anything there.
No, we talked about council
Okay,
contingency
all right.
at some meeting. I
So
was at.
that might be another alternative that we.
Probably it was in the back room for the agenda meeting, and I said, we'll just take it.
So I'm gonna look at that system and see if there's a way to add another unit to
All
that
right.
particular, for the clerk's office, so that would make more sense. But,
Yeah.
so it's trying to come up with a full financial package.
Alright, so I think we should replace that bow window also, that should be a priority.
Yep.
Um,
That's all part of that south side wall, that's,
yeah, well, it's separate here, but it's,
I know,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah, okay, I get what you mean. And these other windows are okay.
they're not leaking for now, but they're leaking, in between the panes of glass.
Right,
They're
There's no seal on it?
condensating.
so, one has like a little BB hole in it, crack.
They eventually are gonna need to be done.
Well, the clerk windows come down to, it's 3,000.
Well, that was, again, I get estimate.
Oh, yeah, I know. Alright,
On the next item, obviously outside the town hall, the assessor has been asking me to replace the vehicle. His vehicle's been out of service for over a year. We took it off the road.
I think that was an old patrol
was.
car, wasn't it, or?
It was, I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be, but we took it off the road. It was totally unsafe, and it should have never, it actually wouldn't pass inspection. So, that, you know, what I would prefer is if we could buy a small four-wheel drive truck, because he does go in and out of, you know, some pretty tough places, and it could also be utilized for other functions for the town.
Okay.
So, but if we purchase new police vehicles, could we do another trade?
So, I don't know, what do you have?
Patrick,
Hey,
did you hear
Patrick,
that?
want to do a deal, come over here.
If we did end up purchasing new police vehicles, could one of your others go over to the assessor?
So you have the list.
Yeah,
Of those, the 3 that we would take offline are all the Dodge Chargers, which are like 112,000
Yeah.
miles.
yeah, they're not
So-
That's not, that's not gonna do.
Because those have to come
Well, I
off
don't
first.
care about the 112, but it's not a 4x4.
It's not a.
Right,
yeah.
not yet. But if you want to buy me 4, I had to ask.
Or
Please sit down now.
The mileage is inconsequential for the tax assessor.
Right.
vehicle.
Right,
Right.
it's the 4x4.
Well, plus he's gonna take out the package and he's
Yeah.
gonna want that.
If I may, what I can do is we can talk to the USDA, like we did with the senior bus, and we get 35% back, whatever the total cost of the vehicles are. So I know how we bought the senior bus, that gave us about $60,000 back. I can look into that.
Okay.
This is why he gets cars. All right,
So we have the senior center. Jen, you wanna come up and?
all right, Rick, just hang them out down there in case we need,
Happy to help out with anything, thank you.
So we definitely wanna redo the 3 sides of that building and have them
Yes,
been-
that's like my number 1 priority, finish the siding.
you only have 3 things, so here you go, 3 priorities, right?
I'll take them all.
Oh, no, there are
Oh,
others,
that's
there are
right.
others, I didn't
That's right.
recommend some, and there's a reason, probably I'll get to it, but.
Yes. Oh. Can you hear me now?
You can adjust it.
Hello?
Yes. AED,
So she has a couple of old ones there that we'd like to get them modernized to what we're putting out around to the rest of the town.
Okay.
And it would be similar, same batteries, the same supply packets.
Hopefully they can order in bulk that way
Right.
too. Ours are different than most everybody else's and old.
So the one item I didn't recommend is the additional parking that's needed. And the reason why I'm not recommending it at the moment is because ideally, when you do get sewer there,
That's gonna,
it's where that
Yeah.
septic system is now.
because we still have a cesspool.
Right,
Yeah,
so there's
she's
really,
so
there's
crazy.
really not a lot of available land for her to add more parking.
Right.
But if that, in the future, if
There
it
will
ever does
be,
get to
yeah.
sewer, that's exactly what should be done.
Is there any idea when they will be in that area?
I'm gonna be excused for 1 minute, but
I don't know.
Oh, no,
I'm
okay.
assuming it's probably another
20 years from now.
20 years? Is that what you
3
said?
to 4 years. I
Oh.
believe.
Okay.
So in the meantime, the parking lot does need to be probably repaved and skinned and relined. And that would help get people in the right leased area. I don't know if we can maximize more spots by lining it than what you have now. Well, and whether or not your customers can actually find the lines.
Be nice. I would like some do not enter signs because I do have them going in the
the outdoor?
Yeah, you make the announcement, it's a one way and you've got somebody, oh, I'm only going one way and they're going the wrong way. So
So we can look at signage. I can talk to Rick
a
about
little
trying
bit
to get some
more.
better
They did
signage.
add one or two, but I need big.
Yeah.
Um,
And then the bathroom renovations and the flooring were actually requested probably in another year or two. And I think you were trying to be frugal as to taking what you thought was your fair share.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really just pushing for the siding. I would love to see the bathroom flooring done. And the lobby itself probably could wait another year or so. The bathrooms are pretty bad. I also have a request for more power flushes, but again, that's something I think we need to look at once we get into the real sewer system, because it's an old building and that may be a bigger problem with piping and whatnot. But it's something I think that will need to be done when we get closer to having real sewers.
But both bathrooms need total rehab.
Yep.
It's not just the flooring, but but
Yeah.
that would be like if she gets these 3 items next year, we'll
Right.
probably be asking for those to modernize those bathrooms.
I appreciate how you laid this out year
Thank
by
you.
year. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. That was
Yeah.
helpful.
I mean, we've been I've in the past was able to do some grants for the AC and some other things. So, we've done some additional things. But this siding is obviously something I'd love to finish because we did a beautiful job in the back. And that company is still coming in as the least expensive of the 3 quotes. And they're still holding their price for us.
Wow.
So
For how long?
well, it's been a while.
Wow.
We had them do a quote a couple of times, and they've been holding it.
Wow.
And they've been very, very easy to work with. The only thing is because of catching up on orders and such, there may be a delay before they can do the work, but they will hold the price
Wow.
for us, which is ideal.
That's
And they do nice work
They
too.
did,
so.
they did a good job. So, I don't know if there's any other questions, but I think that she's done a very good job of maintaining what she has there. It's a very nice senior center for the age of the building. She's done a really good job keeping it up.
Thank you.
You've done a great job with programming too.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Any other questions? No? I can go home now?
You can go home now.
It's past my bedtime.
It's good to see you, though.
It is nice to see all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Recreation.
I'm leaving now.
Oh, this is a real wish list.
It is. It is. So I'll offer up a couple of things. I think Craig and I were talking before about how he's coming up and talking about jaws of life and things that are absolute necessities. And I'm sitting here going, I'd love to add a splash pad, right? So I want to acknowledge that where I'm
No,
coming
but
from.
the kids would like it too.
Well, and that's it.
That's
And
what
I
you're
think
here for.
there's a couple of things I do want to offer. One is that there's a lot of synergy between the different departments in town. And for example, like recreation, could not have done what we've done over the last year and a half without the DPW. And I just, that's the period at the end of that sentence. So I do want to say thank you to them and support what their requests are, because listening to what they're asking for will help us even if we're not the ones getting the funding. So I would support that. The reason that I put the list together like this is I want to kind of piggyback on some of the other stuff that's been said, which is recreation, like a lot of other areas in town, have been trying to get back to a baseline. We have been trying to build back to be able to grow. And this list is a reflection of, in large part, things that we need to do to get back to baseline. So as we go forward, this list isn't going to go away. It's just going to get more expensive. Now, the decision comes down to whether it's a priority for this year or for next year or for 5 years. Things like the building at Town Farm and the building at Bulgamarsh, they're resources that are crumbling. You cannot use the Town Farm building right now, those bathrooms, because they're filled with black mold and there are holes in the roof. But it's a footprint that could be really valuable. And I'll echo what Chief Jones said. There's an opportunity to turn these into community centers. You can do it so there's not only bathrooms, there's meeting spaces, there's opportunity to force multiply what you're spending on this for the needs of different areas in the community. And so the list that you're seeing here is reflective of not only what recreation is bringing forward, but also what Tiverton Youth Soccer has said would use, the Women's Softball League, Men's Softball, Little League. These are organizations that represent the people in town, and that's how this list was compiled. So I want to be real clear. I understand where recreation fits in sort of the pantheon of needs in this town, but these aren't going away, and we do have an impact and have been able to have an impact on our community. So that's kind of the high level soapbox moment for me. I did put in here at Chris's request sort of a priority list that what I would necessarily suggest that we look at. One of the ones, in speaking with Chief Jones at Bulgamarsh, the building there has an opportunity to potentially be something more. So
Which
it could
building?
be
The little building?
the bathroom that's there.
Okay.
Right now, it's got 2 bathrooms and a storage space behind it.
Yep.
But asking for money for a feasibility study, because potentially you could make that a bigger footprint, still have the bathrooms and a storage space, but also maybe go up with it and have space for a meeting room and also for a small office for, maybe Sergeant Leduc. I don't know. We'd also talk about on the roof of it, and you've seen this in other places, you can use the roof for a place where you can actually have a garden that is cultivated by kids in town or other residents. So there's a lot of different opportunities to build a community facility there. Also in an area of town where we've had a couple of incidents, I think I could say. So something to look at.
No, those bathrooms are horrible.
Yeah, they're really gross.
Yeah, when you went there the last concert, I had to go under the sink because it was leaking and kind of patched it up a little bit. People were sliding into the bathroom.
Well, and we work with DPW. We actually, for the concert series, we were able to get a couple of other porta potties for the back of it to support that, including one that's accessible. We don't have a lot of accessible facilities in town. Right? So,
No, and that bathroom really needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
All right. How about all these security cameras? They must be a priority.
Yeah, so the chief and I have spoken about that, and I know that there's a lot of things that he's looking at. The idea here is there are a couple of spots in town that we don't currently have coverage. You run into a couple different elements from the rec standpoint. Bulgamarsh is one area where there isn't cameras, and Pecasset Fields is the other one, not facing the school side, but literally the other areas. Just a 30-second story on that. The baseball shed that's over there, at one point there was graffiti, and I went down and actually painted it. In case anyone's wondering, that color is called Tiverton Green, because it didn't have a name. And we bought a sign from Harbor Freight that said, "Caution, cameras in use." And if anybody wanted to guess how long it takes from the time that you hang up a sign to when graffiti appears over the sign that says cameras in use, the answer is 9 days. So I just would offer that up. So there are some places where we feel like it would be valuable to look at how the security would come together and in a cohesive connection there in a quilt.
Those would also have an annual cost.
They would?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
They would, but we're spending money and volunteers are spending time to put things together, so. Yeah, we really need to protect those.
We had them at the dog park, or we're going to have them at the dog. Patrick, we talked about that. Do we have any at the dog park?
Sorry?
Do we have
Camera?
security cameras at the dog?
We do not. It's the beaches, so it's Fogland and Grinnell's, and then we have it at Town Farm.
So we probably need to think about the dog park also.
And then I know you spoke about annual costs. So we get a public safety internet connection, which is basically a cradle point. It's about $40 a month.
40 a month? Per camera?
No,
Oh,
per system.
oh, total, okay.
Yeah, per location.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's an unfortunate
Per
truth
location.
that we have to protect these places. I mean, we may not stop it, but at least we can catch the perpetrators.
It's not per location, is it?
I'm sorry?
Is it per location for the $40?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So every camera we
So
have.
it's
No,
basically,
no, no,
it's,
no. So if there's 2 cameras at Town Farm, it's still one location.
Okay, all right.
right. So all we're talking about is like a little MiFi,
Yeah.
cradle point. It sends the signal back to the police department via a 5G signal.
Yeah.
And because we get a government rate, we install one of those in there. It's $40 a month.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the list for us, and it is included in the backup here in terms of what we would be looking for. The town farm building, we've done a huge amount of work there. Again, I'll credit DPW for creating a lot more parking as well as the project that's been ongoing. It would be nice to have better facilities there for that, and that's what that building would do. The feasibility study for Bulgamarsh, I think because of the multi-use element to it, that was one of those things that we'd love to kind of investigate a little bit more. And then really the only other 2 in here that are at the top of my list, because I know you want to keep the list short, a wheelchair swing to add on to Town Farm. That's one extra piece to it, and there's a good spot that could go into. And that's something that we would love to add. And then the combo splash pad skating rink. So just as a quick backstory to this, when we did the study for Town Farm, that was the #1 item, a splash pad, that the community asked for that we weren't able to include. What this number represents is there's one company in North America that does this. I did check in with some of the other manufacturers in town or in the state that do this, just splash pads, and the number could be closer to probably somewhere around 180 to 200,000. So, and we have some just ballpark numbers on that. We did also ask about what the cost for maintenance, the ongoing water costs would be. And so I had a great conversation with one of the vendors who had actually bid on Town Farm before. And what they said is, look, I can't give you a specific number because it depends on the size and a lot of different factors, but there's a few things to keep in mind. The systems are so sophisticated right now that if you say it's open from 11 to 6 or 11 to 7, the water may be on, but it's not active unless somebody is actually touching it and activating it. And on top of that, you can regulate how much water is coming in and out. They also made a point I hadn't thought of, which is if you look at Boston or you look at Providence or other places, these are areas that have multiple splash pads. These are areas where they've made a commitment to something for their community based on an investment. And so if there's an interest in pursuing that further, I would say the target for that type of splash pad is probably around 200,000. But again, recognizing that may fall more into a wish more than a need.
So you can, I'm sorry, can you play hockey on the?
Yep. It's not a full-time rink. I mean, you could go out and skate, but
Okay, you can skate.
yeah. And what you essentially do is remove the water elements and you put up boards and there's a chiller underneath it.
And
You get your own Zamboni.
I was gonna say, you don't.
Oh, you
have
do?
Zamboni?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the first year they'll come in and they'll teach you, they'll sort of show you how to do it and then it expands from there. So,
Okay.
And the personnel to run it. I want to talk about, we talked about it this afternoon, Hooper Street recreational area. Because there's nothing down on that side.
Is that the same as Bayview?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
Can we do anything in that area right
I
now?
don't know.
I know, and that's
I have
what-
to talk to Bob Hoffman to find out. I know it was tested, and my
There's a playground
recollection is
there
that,
now.
that it was
Oh.
fine.
Disturb it.
Yeah, what I don't know is construction-wise, can we do any construction there? But that's something I would have to talk to the environmental engineers about.
Because I kind of liked that idea when he brought it up to me this afternoon, because there is nowhere down in the north end.
No, I agree.
And if we could do something down there, I think it'd be worth it.
So I had the same conversation
Yeah, I
with him
think that's why
today.
he called me.
It was, yeah.
Oh,
You spurred-
really?
you spurred
Okay.
on my,
Yeah.
Because I had concerns about the water usage, 7 days a week, 8 hours a day for the splash pad, obviously, in the cost of the town. And then I had, some reservations regarding Hooper Street. And it's not fair to call Stu at 3:00 to create a line item. But if we can't do Hooper, maybe somewhere down the road, Pecasset really deserves a better basketball court than what they have now. I mean, growing up, if Pecasset was packed, I would shoot down the Hooper Street. And we don't have it. I mean, the kids are playing at Picasset now, and it's disgusting.
It's-
So I think that if, Hooper Street is not a priority and not even doable, then maybe at some point down the road, we look at Picasset to create, and you had suggested lights, and, the kids will be out there till 8 o'clock, and then you have to leave anyway, so, but I think the kids at Picasset deserve the basketball courts, because really, they don't have anything except for Atlantic, to go to Atlantic, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, to your point, we need more on
I think
that
the
side of
parks
town.
close at 8, don't they?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I think when they close, I mean, the
Well, no,
town
it's-
closes at 10 almost, so it's kind of,
We do need more on that side of town, and the challenge right now is there aren't a lot of places that we can go, and so with Bay Street, if it's an opportunity to develop it and it's safe, great. If it's not safe, then we need to take action.
and he didn't even know there were tennis courts at Picasset way back when. They were.
Well, that was
which
where
is
we're thinking
he
the
wants to
splash
put
pad would go, because it's right
now.
near, there's a,
But you're gonna put a splash pad there.
that was where the
Yeah.
footprint would be.
Yeah,
Because it's still high enough up that you
Yeah.
could also still look at doing basketball
Yeah.
courts below it or something else.
Yeah,
So you could have a multi-purpose or multi-use facility there.
all right.
Or what's that new game that you like to play?
Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Hunger Games?
Pickleball, no, Hunger Games.
Anything else, Stu? Oh, go ahead,
No,
Mike.
no, what is the movable fencing?
Sure. So I don't know if anybody's ever been over to Roger Williams before, and other colleges as well, but that's the one I can think of. It's essentially an interlocking fence, and the way the fence sets up is you can pull it with a small mower, which there is one from Little League there, and it allows you to flex the fence in whatever configuration you need. And from our standpoint, it would serve two purposes. It would allow for better separation between the upper area where they play soccer and the softball field, but it also could be used during summer camp to create a better perimeter around where the kids are. So it is something that might have multiple purposes with one expenditure, but they're super cool. They make life really easy, and it gives you the ability to configure different field sizes.
So my only comment is I very much appreciate the vision you have brought to the town for recreational services. Certainly there have been other recreation chairs who have done phenomenal stuff, but for the longest time, I don't think we've had a vision. And I know it's with your committee too, but I know a lot of it comes from your head. Sometimes we don't necessarily want to know what's going on in that head, but whether or not we're able to afford all of this now or some of this now and some of it later, having that vision helps us look ahead too. So thank you.
I was also gonna say that I've been all over town the last few weeks, and there's been so many compliments about the concert series, and I know that was all you. Mostly.
But there were others. Dustin Hemling in particular was a huge help. But
But all I want to say is that made a huge impression on this community, and they want to continue that.
We will.
And there's a lot of enthusiasm, because now maybe we can do this, and now maybe we can do that. So I want to thank you for that, because I think you brought a lot of spirit back around here.
Well, and you all, all attended. So thank you for participating in it too.
Oh, it was
I mean, it's
fun.
nice
It was
to-
fun, and I agree with everybody. Yeah, it brought the community together. People got to see each other they hadn't seen in a long time, also because of COVID. But everywhere I've been going lately, people have brought that up to me.
No,
So I
that's
want to
awesome.
thank you for that.
Thank you
And
for the
all your
support.
hard work.
Awesome.
And we hear the bricks are coming.
Yeah,
They are,
there's
so-
so
and
much about those bricks.
I will put this out there that the excavation is occurring the third week in September, and they're getting installed the last week in September, assuming that DPW equipment is repaired in time. So another pitch for what Rick's requested. So that
I
was.
don't know
think,
if
one
Rick
of my
can
names.
hear you all.
No, it's okay.
He's bringing up DPW a lot, Rick. He's got a lot of work for you.
I think I was just saying thanks.
And fix that equipment.
Yeah, and fix it.
No, it's not on.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Stu.
The schools. Thank you for waiting. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members of the Town Council, thank you for the opportunity to express to you some of the needs of the Tiverton Public Schools. We've created a list for you that was originally developed by our building committee, but then reviewed by our school committee. In priority order, the first item on our list is to renovate the locker rooms and the bathrooms at the high school. You know, many of you have walked through them, so I don't really need to say much to you about this. The school's 56 years old. There's been limited work done in those locker rooms and bathrooms since that time. The bathrooms typically don't work. The showers definitely don't work. There's no place for our officials to change and or shower, and they're really in tough condition. You've
They're
seen
in
them.
awful
Yeah.
condition.
And I want to express to you, though, there's an opportunity in recognizing what is limited revenue here. I think there's an opportunity actually to cover everything on this list. If you were to consider the first project for the THS locker rooms, bathrooms, right now RIDE has increased the reimbursement. So for this year, it's 45%.
This year, you have to have it in by December 30th.
We do. Yeah. And so that's
Then
$540,000.
you have to have it identified. Can you explain that a little
Yeah,
further?
you'd have to have it identified, not
Right.
completed.
No,
No,
not
no,
completed.
no, not completely, correct.
I get
Yes,
it.
and I'd like to possibly come back and go through that with you at another time, at another meeting with you. But that would generate $540,000 in reimbursement on a $1.2 million project, so it's pretty extensive. The rest of the list there, as you can see, all important things dealing with the security of our schools. Again, with great gratitude, want to thank you for the $2 million that you approved for last year, the projects that are currently in work. Those projects are going to generate a reimbursement of $767,935. So if you were to allocate that back to the schools, as I've heard possibly that would be, items 2 through 6 would be completed.
What is that number again?
$767,935.
And your first number was 545 or 540?
540.
540.
But right now, that's, until we do something, that goes into the general fund.
Right, yep, I'm just giving you an
No,
opportunity.
no, but I'm glad you just brought that up because,
And then if you were to grant number 1 again, a year from now, 540,000 would be available. That could take number 7 on the list. So in 2 years, everything on this list could be accomplished by basically the approval of the first project and the consideration of the revenue that's coming back on the projects that are currently being completed. So happy to answer any questions.
I did think that we had talked about a capital school fund that when we
Yeah, we're gonna
would get this back, it would go into that to kind of be a self-perpetuating.
gonna have to be an ordinance.
So Mario was also working on language he did in some other community about those reimbursements being able to be utilized, that we would be able to adopt very similar language.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be an ordinance.
But I thought it also had to be something that RIDE would agree with.
Well, no, our ordinance would simply be that we would allow any
Not this money.
reimbursements for anything, whether it's the
Right.
school coming from RIDE or, grants coming for the police would be rolled back in.
But there would have to be, it'd have to be a special capital school account.
Yeah, but we need to.
Right. And we have this opportunity, which we have it now, but we don't know how long that will last, that we can get 45% back. I mean, it's just such a great opportunity. These locker rooms were there when the school was built.
Me and Deb took showers there, I think.
Mrs. Feinberg. It's just more
76.
layers of paint on it, that's really, so to be able to do that, and the committee also brought up a lot of the security. There's just so much going on in the world right now. We need to keep our kids safe and our school employees safe. And so we did do security improvements 2 years ago, where we did the double doors in the schools.
Yep.
Yeah,
But we now still have more to do as technology changes and,
so if we approve the 1.2, and then we set up an ordinance which gives you back the money, which is the 769, then you could do the other items on your list.
We could do 2 through 6,
Okay.
and then if you
And then
got the
you'll be getting
reimbursement,
the
540, you'd
540.
be able to take, so ideally, summer of '23, you'd be working on that locker room project, maybe in the spring, that reimbursement comes in as the reimbursement from this year's coming in, so 2 through 6 would be worked on this year. And then you got that other reimbursement coming in, which means those
If we-
bathrooms could be done in the summer of '24.
I'll have to talk to Mike, but I wonder if we could, because usually the restricted funds have to be voted on. No, not if we do an ordinance.
So the ordinance says, "We shall establish a procedure for the receipt, review, allocation, and approval of any proposed municipal capital improvement projects from the restricted capital projects fund." So we've established this procedure. I think the question is, can we just do a vote? When we vote on what to expend this on, can we vote to do a revolving fund for now? But then we should memorialize it in this ordinance.
So I think what we need to do is get together with Mike Marcello and.
I agree, Mike and Mario, because Mario did say something about a resolution that he was doing for another community to help bolster whatever your local ordinance was, so it went hand in hand.
Okay.
So either way, we'll get to where it needs to be, because I agree that those monies really should be rolled back into, other than if it was, what we're doing for a new building or something, that's different,
different.
because that goes to pay the debt service.
But if you think about it, this is casino money working for us.
It is.
So we have this money
No, I agree.
available to spend, but then we're getting reimbursed. So it's what we've been saying all along, the casino money working for us.
Take advantage of the
It's
leverage.
leveraging.
Leveraging those funds.
And,
And just lastly, if I could point out to you, if you then allocated back that 767, items 2 through 6 are 35% reimbursement. So you're gonna, again, generate revenue back.
And that's the normal
45%.
reimbursement?
I'm sorry.
That's the normal reimbursement?
That's the reimbursement for health and safety
Okay.
issues. There's a additional
45% is health and safety.
35% health and safety.
explain that again. It's the
There's a 30
35 for,
Health and safety issues.
okay,
The bathroom locker room, because it's educational and health and safety.
All right.
They built in just for this year some additional reimbursements, so that's why it's 45.
okay, I get it. All right. Any questions? So how are the bathrooms going?
Excellent. The bathrooms at the middle school are going to be complete, or are being completed right now. There was a supply chain issue for the sinks, but they put in temporary ones. And the high school bathrooms will start after school and on the weekends this month,
Perfect,
or September.
perfect. Is there anything you want to add, Diane, or? No?
No, I think Dr. Sanquioni explained it well. I'm just here to look nice and
Well, you do, you do.
What did the ball field lighting first light work out?
Excellent.
Yeah.
The illumination of that field is beyond what we probably thought it would be, and the field looks great. We painted the goalposts this past weekend. The field really looks awesome. Looking forward for opening day. Soccer's actually on the field right now. Let's hope they're playing well.
I gotta go by there, I've been meaning to.
I didn't get a chance, but
And then you've also requested a special meeting with us.
I
So
haven't
just-
sent the documentation to Chris, but I'd like to show you what that 2 million had generated,
Yeah.
go through all those projects with you, and talk about how to work with RIDE moving forward.
All right, so we'll do that sometime in September. Will you be ready for that?
I'm ready whenever you folks are. Is it September 12th?
Yeah, you need to have it to ride by the 15th.
I do.
Yeah, my birthday, so you can sing me happy birthday.
All right,
That's it.
I had it tentatively for September 12th, but I didn't know if they'd be ready.
We're
They are.
ready. So I'll
So we can
I'll get you the
She's
documents.
gonna need it before the 12th, though, because it's the Tuesday before the 12th, when you do your agenda meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll get you the documents this week.
Okay, yeah,
Got enough time?
okay.
yeah, because it's,
It's not this Tuesday coming, it's the next Tuesday.
well, we have a meeting, so, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, any questions? All right, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last item is,
Yeah.
so we've known all along, we've had a shortfall in the landfill closure. So there's a typo on here. Originally, I thought it was gonna be $1 million. It's about $1.4 million. So that's why it says $500,000 over 2 years. It would have been $1 million. It's really 700,000. So, we looked at doing the infrastructure bank and the requirements of doing it, even though we would have borrowed $1.4 million, would have made the entire $12 million project require an MBE 10% to 15% on the entire project. We would have cost more to do that than it would be to get the reimbursement back. And the generated savings of any kind of figure just didn't make sense. We were gonna spend more money than it was beneficial to us. So this 1.4 million is also anticipating about $300,000 a year in receipts over the next 2 years. So right now we're at about 10.1 million. So we need to generate another,
So what are you requesting for this year, 700?
yeah, I would say
Okay.
700 will get us by, and then we'll see where we are with the receipts and move forward. But it's, without taxing people, without having to add another burden to them, this, you know, it is a massive capital project on behalf of the town. I do think it would make more sense to do it this way than any other way.
And everyone out there that's watching, this would have been taxed.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what we're trying to
We
do.
would have had to bond this, the rest of it.
So that's what we're trying to do right now, is do less bonds, less borrowing, pay
So
things off.
the biggest question that people have is, when the landfill closes, is why are we gonna continue with the bags and the bag fees? The other part of this is beyond the closure piece that's a deficiency. We now have to truck it to Johnston, and then we also have to pay tipping fees, which is gonna increase the
Yeah,
cost
we
of trash.
talked about that.
So do we look for another alternative mechanism to generate that revenue besides bags? That's a whole different discussion, but for the closure itself, I think it's important that we try to find the monies to, without having to tax the taxpayers.
And no ARPA funds available?
So we could use ARPA. That's another alternative. I tried to stay away from ARPA so this can also be held in abeyance until we look at all the ARPA funds too. I haven't gotten everything up online yet to do that, and I'm gonna extend the date into October for those, you know, and we'll do an announcement to get people to have interest, because we have received some interest in that. But we do have some pretty big projects with ARPA as well. It's the radio communications and some others, but there are some additional monies available for that as well too.
And we're gonna have, I could be wrong, $90,000 a year monitoring the old landfill?
Yeah. That's never gonna go away.
No, that's 25, 30 years.
But that's part of owning a landfill. We're never gonna get out of it. So,
And we gotta pay for it.
yep.
All right.
So that'll be built into the DPW budget for years to come, so.
Solar.
So that's an option, but that's, you know, obviously that's not a discussion for tonight.
Right.
But that would be my, and there is funding available through the infrastructure bank to do that. But it's putting that whole package together, which, you know, we will be doing once we get closer.
Right.
So as this was revolving, I was thinking, we will have I think we're gonna probably have to have a special meeting for this. And I don't know when we're gonna fit it in. But
It's
if
a
all,
lot to digest.
yeah, if all of you wanna go home, I think what we need to do is look at fire and think about 3 top priorities. Just, all of you go home and figure out a worksheet that spends the 3 million with your priorities. And we're gonna have to have, we're definitely gonna have to have another workshop. But we will vote, but I'm not sure when we can do that yet.
Can I ask again what the total figure is that we have to spend? Is it
So it's
2.9 or 3.1?
It's on
3.035.
3035.
Because the 28th meeting is going to be chock full. That's the one that we have a lot of things on that one.
Well, we have to come up with something fairly soon for the school alone, correct?
Well,
No, 'cause-
the first letter is just saying that something to be effective we're considering. It's not saying where the funding's coming from. It's the second letter in in
So we
February or
could
something.
we do the first letter in October?
No, they need that by September
They
15th.
need that.
Right, Peter?
I'm sure.
It has to
You
be-
need that first letter by September 15th.
Yeah, so
Just,
we gotta come up with something preliminary at least to cover that.
okay, so, I will put something on the September
Yeah,
12th meeting.
I think the first letter is more almost like a commitment to work together. It really doesn't identify dollars.
Doesn't identify projects, all dollars, it just says we have a need.
That's stage one then, right?
Stage one.
Stage one has no financial commitment.
So
Stage-
that has to do with getting the reimbursement for what he's asking for today.
No.
And then December has.
Stage one is to say we need to do a capital plan. We need, stage two is saying, we're gonna go look at
Okay,
A, B, C project, and we're gonna get an engineer, we're gonna do what we need to do to finally come up with a full vetting.
all right.
And here's our plan to fund it.
So when they come to us September 12th,
It's just to say,
then we'll make the decision to say we're on board.
Yep.
And then we don't have to make the decisions on what we want to spend.
By that date.
Right, so what I'm thinking is October we'll do the next meeting because we are really busy.
okay,
The 28th is real busy.
28th is real busy, the 12th, the school department's coming.
28th.
And then we've got negotiations all month, every day almost.
September 28th.
Yes, we do. So I'm thinking that we'll do it in October.
Yeah, I think that gives us.
I'll get together with we'll figure out some dates.
And we also have sometime in early October, the solar and the STR.
No, that's,
That's the 28th?
28th.
No, I'm,
the 28th, we got a few things, don't you remember, Mike? 'Cause
that was
we-
just
The
the,
28th of September, you got a few things that you continued to.
right,
Right.
right.
I think we have open burning for October 11th.
Yeah.
I do know we do have the solar and the short-term rental, but my question on the timing of that is, when should I?
So unless Mike says differently, I think it has to be 60 days from the time we sent it to the planning board.
Yes,
And
60 or
what if
45?
they don't meet on it?
No, we still have to, so
They
there's
still have to do
two
it regardless.
deadlines. They have 45 days to report back.
Right.
From that date that we sent it, we have 60 days from that date to set up a public hearing.
and I'll make sure all that stuff's up on the website, I start looking at it this afternoon.
and as you can all see, we're gonna be very busy for the next
Millennia.
millennium, yeah. All right, so thank you, everyone. I think this was very helpful. I hope you all thought it was too. Yeah, Sally, do you want to, Sally just gave me some notes that. She went like this. I've never seen you do that before. All right, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank all of you and everybody for coming, because this puts everything into perspective for the whole town and everybody's needs. And it's like, if you go to a budget committee meeting every Thursday all winter, this is what you hear. You all heard it tonight, it's amazing. And how carefully you're trying to spend taxpayers' money, you're trying to save taxpayer money all the time and still give everybody what they need. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you, all of you, for all the work you did preparing this.
Yes.
Chris, this was
Great
excellent.
job, great job.
Thank you. Now I have to go back to the agenda because
Oh, there's one more
I
item?
skipped Joan.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Joan hasn't even said a word, but she was about to. Someone have an agenda?
I did not bring mine.
I know I lost it again.
Here, don't lose this one.
Don't look at my notes, even though there's none.
All right, so town clerk discussion and possible vote on providing voter information guide regarding the November 8th, 2022 local ballot question.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I only have a couple of these, so if you just want to share and take a look at it. Share. What this is the voter information guide that was put together for the proposed amendments to the town charter in 2018. So it's a booklet that explains the questions that were on the ballot. It gives a little explanation, and that was part of what you approved. And then a sample, how they'll look on the ballot, along with the polling locations. And this is a mailer. This was mailed out to all the voters in town. So before I work on this, this would come out of the council's budget, not the elections budget, because this is the council putting forth the charter amendments, and I would assume it would include the cannabis question as well.
We could
If
also
you-
use ARPA money if we had to.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we can use
We have-
the.
I mean, what's
Right
that
on.
out?
So before I put anything together, I
Okay,
wanted to make sure that you want me to go in this direction so I can get costs. And because of paper shortages and all that, I need to get supply lined up as well.
I think I do.
So-
I think this was very helpful.
yeah.
I think it was
Yeah,
It'll be mailed out
so-
to every house or every
every register.
registered
I don't
voter.
really think you need a vote. You just once you get the price, then
We can allocate them.
we can allocate.
I just need direction, so if you say
Yes,
yes,
yes.
put it together, get the costs, you can
Yes,
get quotes
this
and
was very good.
I'm-
get it ready.
Everyone
I'm
agree?
voting for the
Yes.
other two who aren't here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.